Hello everybody, welcome back to EBINOTTI Beauty. Today I'm going to show you guys how I got this sexy dark smoky eye to make it very wearable. So we're going to start off today making sure we're fully moisturized. We're going to jump into primer. I'm using the NIVEA Men's Aftershave Balm. This has been my primer for probably like 5 years. I absolutely love this product for smoothing everything out and giving you like a nice clean base. For the winter time, I've been layering it with this e.l.f. primer. It's a balm. It works really nice under the eyes and around the mouth. I put it on the forehead and the nose as well, just for a bit of highlighting. I like to press this one in with my fingers. I think it works really nice if you give it a few minutes to set before you jump into foundation, just for adding a little bit of moisture. If you get dry and all that with like a full coverage kind of foundation, try an extra primer for moisture. It might help you out. It really made a difference for me, especially around the eyes. And then jumping into foundation today, I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus. I'm mixing a little bit of the CATRICE liquid coverage into this just because the color isn't quite right for me. So I really love the way this looks, even though this Wet n Wild foundation that I'm putting on right now is super light. It gives me a really nice coverage and just kind of blurs everything out. So I've been loving this combination lately. If you've never tried anything like that, where you have, you know, a great foundation in your collection but it's not working for you because it's too light, try mixing it with one of your other similar coverage kind of foundations and see if that does it for you. These dropper ones from Catrice are really good for mixing. So I've been loving that lately, just pressing it all in with a Real Technique sponge. Make sure to go around your hairline, around your jawline. It's really important that you press your foundation in properly if you want it to look nice. We're going to bring some color back into the face today with the Wet n Wild Cream Contour Sticks. I don't always cream contour, but lately I've been absolutely loving just like a big creamy base. So all the cream products, you know. I like to do a little contouring around my eyes and the bridge of my nose with this product too. Be careful with cream contours. You don't put it all over the face like this unless you know the product. So this is a really great product for giving you a chance to blend it all in. It doesn't dry very quickly or set down or anything like that. It's very creamy. It moves around really well with a brush as well. So I highly recommend these Wet n Wild. There's a couple different colors. Chestnut and I think Maple are probably the best too if you've got anything close to my skin tone, sort of like light medium. And I like to contour around my mouth a little bit as well. That's something I added into my routine that I've just been loving lately. All my brushes and things that I use in these tutorials are linked down below if you guys are interested. I get all my brushes from BH Cosmetics. I absolutely love them. I'm Canadian, so to me, BH Cosmetics, especially for brushes, is a lot like Morphe. They're kind of like the Canadian version. With Morphe, you have to pay duty and taxes and all that exchange crap, but BH Cosmetics, I find them really comparable as a brand, really affordable, and their brushes are awesome. I love them so much. So give them a try if you don't have any brushes you're like absolutely in love with. Real Techniques has some decent brushes too. It's just, I prefer the brush sets, and the ones from BH, it's like, in my mind, you just can't beat those. So I'm gonna go into the nose contour. I flick it up, if you can see me doing that, like flicking it up towards the bridge of the nose. And that's how I kind of like blend all of that in. I leave it to the very end so it dries a little bit and sets down a little bit so it really does kind of stay in place. And then whatever's left, I just drag it across my eyelid to start prepping for some contouring of the eye. Dragging it out towards the temples as well, just so you don't get any harsh lines. You can use your sponge at this point to kind of smooth everything out. I don't always need to, but I do like to do it just for texture. I feel like the sponge just gives you a much nicer texture than a brush does. It doesn't leave behind any, like, you know, streaks or brush lines or anything like that. So really taking the time, if you're gonna do any cream contouring or base products like this, really take the time to press it in, get to know your face, what you like to bring forward, what you like to hide. That's really important. And you know, other than someone sitting in front of you, they can't really teach you that because everyone's face shape is different. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. Watch how I follow my face shape. Try to do something similar with your own face shape. Okay, moving into concealer, we're going to use the Maybelline Age Rewind. Such an OG. Such an amazing concealer too. You really can't beat it for this price point. Lately I've been using a lot less concealer than I normally do, just under the eyes, tip of the nose, bridge of the nose, lip, chin, maybe forehead, you know, like I'll take the product and kind of move it around as I go, but same thing, just grabbing that same sponge, blending it all out. I'm trying to keep everything kind of tight to where it is, you know, like tight in the chin, tight around the lip. So it gives me a little bit of a contour. So doing a little bit more contouring than we did in the last tutorial. If you guys watched that one, if you didn't watch that one, I highly recommend it. It's a non-cakey full coverage foundation tutorial. So basically my go-to look, but done with some really heavy foundations, because sometimes we need more coverage, you know? Sometimes it's been a rough day. Sometimes you didn't sleep good. Sometimes you're on your period and you have fucking breakout. Like, it's important to know how to use full coverage without looking cakey. So check out that last tutorial if you need that. Really, the biggest thing that I always focus on no matter what I'm doing is blending. Really taking the time to blend products out, press them in, let them set on their own before I add powders or anything like that, which we're gonna do right now before we step into baking. I have this written as CATRICE. Nope, just kidding. I'm going to correct that right now. This is the Makeup Revolution baking powders, and I'm pushing it in with a kabuki brush. You can use your sponge for this as well. If you do use your sponge, I'll show you guys a tutorial on how I do that. I put the powder in the palm of my hand. I press the sponge into the powder from my hand and then go into the face. It's just an easier way to make sure you don't get like splotches of powder on your blender, and then you can smoothly put that powder on your face. It also warms it up a little bit with the palm of your hand, so great way to do it. I'm a big fan of this kabuki brush because it's got a nice point. I got this brush forever ago from like a Winners or something, just randomly came across the brush. So if you find a brush like this, I highly recommend picking it up for baking, but otherwise anything else will do. A fluffier brush now with still a bit of a taper on it. I'm going to cut out my jawline. I love to do this to clean up the cream contour that we just put onto the cheeks. So this is the first stage in setting the face. So I use two different powders for Makeup Revolution, the Banana Light powder, which is what I'm contouring with right now, and then we're going to go in with the Lace and set the rest of the face with like a big fluffy brush. First though, because I hate foundation all over my lips, I'm going to drop in one of my favorite lip glosses, the Fenty Gloss Bomb. Literally so stunning. And yeah, just using that big fluffy brush, we're going to set the rest of the face. I really am really careful when I do this because there's parts of the face that don't have any powder whatsoever. I tap it in. It'll look like I'm doing like buffing motions. It'll look like I'm pushing hard. I am not. I'm tapping in very, very lightly, trying to get everything set and all those harsh lines that we cut just sort of blended out. And then as we go and as the makeup sets, then you can buff. Then you can start to push a little bit harder. And that's how you get that base to look perfect. I'm going to use the Wet n Wild ColorIcon bronzer today. I've been using this one for a couple weeks now. It is not my favorite. Using it today, I decided, oh, I'm going to use my big fluffy brush. I'm going to go in. This is going to be my main bronzer for the day. It looks a lot darker than the next one I'll be using, which is the Milani. I've been layering these two together. I didn't really get a chance to see how unpigmented and unsatisfying this bronzer is. So I use it. I am scrubbing in that pot with this brush too, like really scrubbing around, trying to pick up some product. And that's just not good enough for me. So we're going to step into, like I said, this Milani bronzer. If you look at it in store, it's got almost like a gray undertone. It looks very neutral, almost cool toned, but it is literally the perfect bronzer contour. So whether you're doing heavy contouring and really specifically putting in places, or just using a big brush and kind of throwing it all over the cheeks, this bronzer is stunning. I highly, highly recommend it if you haven't tried it. It's my first time trying Milani bronzers, the new ones. The old ones were like some old school ride or dies that I used in high school. The Milani blush. I love these rose blushes so much. I'm gonna have to remember what the name of this shade is. It'll definitely be linked down below, or at least listed down below. If I don't link the products, guys, it's either because I couldn't find it or because I was too lazy or forgot. So I always list all the products down below. I try to link them for you guys too. Stepping into eyes, this Madison Beer palette from Morphe. I wanted to love it. Okay, I don't love it, but I'm still gonna use it because I have it. So I recommend it if you're not intimidated by shadows that aren't maybe, you know, the best. There's a lot of fallout from this palette. The glitter shades just do not have payoff, so I highly recommend wetting them if you're going to use them. Emotional Bruises, though, that first color that I used there, and I'm going to layer it a few more times here with the browns that we'll be using, is a stunning color. It completely neutralizes all the browns in this palette, which are very neutral, leaning warm, or straight up warm. It's a very warm toned palette. I like more of a neutral, especially when I'm doing browns and a dark smoky eye like this. So every time I layer some of the brown and it starts to pull a little bit warm on my eye, I go back into that Emotional Bruises and do it again. So taking your time with it, slowly adding more pigment, always making sure to have a clean brush on you that you can wipe away that fallout, because it will stick, especially with the quality of eyeshadow in this palette. It sticks as soon as it heats up, so you really want to get it off your cheeks right away. Gonna take more of that Emotional Bruises and go underneath the eye. I love to do this with like a soft, fluffy, round brush. It really gets into that little eye crease under there, and just like, I don't know, it's so flattering. And then mixing those two, we're gonna do the same. Darken it up just a little bit so you can see me adding just a little bit more contour there. I don't bring it quite all the way into the inner corner, and I do try to stay under the crease when I do this and then blend up towards the lashes. So if you guys have creases under your eyes, or you have a funny eye shape and you just think, oh, I need something under my eyes, give this technique a shot where you put some shadow under there, because once I started doing it, I kind of never stopped. It was just immediately one of my favorite things in makeup, and I was so grateful to the person who gave me that tip. So give that a go if you've never tried that. Yeah, that's my face, because I've tried this shadow before. I've tried it dry. I'm gonna try it with the finger now. I guess that's one good reason that my nail broke, is because I can actually touch my eyelid, because my nails are like a 4 length right now. They're like almost an inch long, so it's very difficult to put eyeshadow on with your finger. Luckily, like I said, I have this gimpy little pinky, because I really wanted to use this color today and see if it was any good. Still not impressed, but it's pretty, you know, so there's that. I would have been impressed with this eyeshadow if it looked really beautiful when it was dry, when you use it with the finger, and then when you use it wet. If you had 3 different techniques to get 3 different sort of looks with that one eyeshadow, I would have been impressed. You know, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible palette, especially because of this black. This black right here, in my opinion, saves the entire palette. It's hard to have a palette with a really good black in it. The CoverGirl True Naked palettes are really great for pigment as well. If you're into doing wings with eyeshadows and stuff like that, I highly recommend those for the price point. Otherwise, you can come in, cry. I can see you there. She's not gonna come in. Otherwise, yeah, this Madison Beer palette, the black is amazing. So I'm just gonna run that under the eye as well, and just connect it on the outer corner to that top line that we did. I'm gonna wing it out a tiny bit, not anything crazy and not too much, because we are gonna go in with some liquid liner afterwards. If I could have tight lined with this, I would have. I just could not find my little gel pot eyeshadows, my little gel pot liners anywhere. I know they're somewhere, I just don't know where. Talking more about this black, this rabbit hole color for Madison Beer and Morphe, when you put it over top of eyeshadows, it creates like a gray cast, which is, I don't love anything more than I love that sort of gray warm, gray pink, gray purple, gray blue. If I can mix gray like this into every single eyeshadow I ever do, I probably would, and now that I've got this black, I will. My eyes are sort of like a chocolatey warm toned brown, like a caramel color almost, so when I use dark neutral and cool tone colors, it really brings that warmth of my eyes forward. So little tip and trick if you've got warm brown eyes like I do. What else can you even say about the Wet n Wild Precious Petals highlighter? It's stunning. You have to be very careful when applying it to the cheeks. Whether you have texture on your cheeks or not, make sure you blend it in, because it can look a little metallic-y. Just going back in, darkening up some spots. I like to really step back and look at the eyeshadow, because from here, once you put your mascara on, you don't want to be blending more powders and things like that on. So I'm going to use today for my wings the Essence Superfine Liner. This is a felt liner. It is not the easiest way to do a wing. It's also not the blackest black liner ever, so for the price point I recommend it. If you're into felt liners, it's a good one. it'll get the job done. I'm gonna layer some black eyeshadow on top of this though, because it is a little sticky and it's, like I said, not quite as black as I wanted it to be. So that black eyeshadow is definitely black enough. So layering them on top of each other takes the shine away from the eyeshadow, which I really, or sorry, the eyeliner, which I really don't like when it's like shiny. I'm into matte eyeliners for sure. So I'm just gonna show you guys how I do that, excuse me, that wing, and just pull it back and smooth it out. I don't know, wings, you gotta just practice. You know, everyone's eye shape is different. I have really a lot of trouble on the inner corner because of my eye shape. Outer corner is not easy either. It took me years to really get it down. I started with those gel pot eyeliners and an angled brush, and now I can do wings with just about anything. So just keep practicing. Don't give up. You're gonna walk around with crazy wings one day, but it is what it is. You know, we've all had crazy wing days. If your wings are all messed up, I highly recommend bigger lashes because it'll hide it. Moving into brows, the Maybelline Tattoo Studio and the Essence Brow Gel. Love the combination almost as much as I love this mascara, which I don't even think I've ever used another one in the last like 10 years. Is when you find something that works, especially like a mascara. I'm not going to test out mascaras for you guys. It's find the one that works and stick to it. So that's it. That's my dark wearable smoky eye. I really hope you guys like this one. Like I said, I might have tight lined this and done some more dark on the inner waterline, upper inner waterlines and things like that. But other than that, that's a wearable smoky eye right there. It's really all about blending, knowing your eye shape, and really trying to flatter it. So if you can stick to that, I mean, you're good to go. You've got a nice clean base here. You've got a really pretty, not overdone, grungy, smoky eye or anything like that. It's clean. If you guys want to see something more grungy, a little less put together, let me know. You can also follow me over on Instagram at EBINOTTI Beauty. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I will see you next time.